All right, so let's start our session on digital care for the telco industry in the AI era. Thank you all for being with us today. This is a live presentation, so feel free to interact with us, with our three speakers and myself. We will try to take questions from you throughout the presentation. So we have ahead of us a 45-minute session with a panel of experts. As you can see on screen, Alan Coleman, CEO of Sweepr. We also have Ryan Gisbrecht, Director Service Reliability and Technology at Telus, a Tier 1 Canadian operator, and Monika Mastorovic, Marketing Director of A1 Croatia, which is part of a leading telco group in Europe. And my name is Ophélie. I will be hosting the panel and asking the questions. So without further ado, let's start with a quick market overview to give you some insights on what are the current challenges that the industry is facing and why there is a strong push towards digital transformation of telecom services, and particularly in the care field. So this is a pretty broad overview, but here you can see that the telecom sector worldwide is reaching 8.7 billion mobile subscribers and almost 1.6 billion households connected to fixed internet services at the end of last year. You can see in pink the differences of fixed internet penetration by market. So obviously there are some discrepancies depending on each region. In Asia Pacific, we have the largest market in volume, driven mostly by China and India in terms of revenue generating units. But there are lower RPUs there and a relatively low level of fixed connectivity in Southern Asia. Then you can see also that Africa is still lagging behind in terms of fixed connectivity, but in the MEA region overall, connectivity is mostly driven by mobile services, as reflected by the large volume of mobile subscribers, 1.8 billion at the end of last year. We also have some buffering zones, for example, Latin America, Central and Eastern Europe, but also Southeast Asia. All of those are markets with subscriber base that are still rapidly growing, especially because the demand for connectivity has been steadily increasing in the last few years. And we've seen also a rapid expansion of high-speed networks in those regions. But overall, in terms of penetration, it's clear that North America, Europe, and Australia, New Zealand are the most well connected, both in terms of mobile and fixed connectivity. There's already a very high penetration of internet services in those regions, which also is correlated to a slower evolution in volume. We see growth in those regions only on high-speed accesses, which means mostly optical fiber for Europe and North America, but also fixed wireless as an alternative access to copper and cable, especially with the expansion of 5G services in the US. Now, if we look at those two regions specifically, which are going to interest us most today, as we have speakers from both North America and Europe joining, we see that almost 400 million households are connected to fixed internet services in both territories, which accounts for 1/4 of global connections. And most subscribers are serviced by large groups, Tier 1 telecom operators. So you can see the top 15 telco groups in both regions on screen. In North America, those top 15 are actually covering more than 90% of revenue generating units, and this ratio falls to 65% in Europe due to the fragmentation of the telco industry and the history of telecom development in the region. But the market structure in both areas is already well established. And with such penetration, internet is already considered to be a household utility by a large portion of both European and North American customers. So service operators that are providing these core services for several million customers, sometimes in one group, are working over very complex back end, and customers are taking their ISPs accountable for any issues at any point of a very complex chain of components. We know that there's a continuum between network access, premises connected, but also customers' gateways, all the way to Wi-Fi management and the final connectivity experience on end devices. So it makes it all the more important to have a really solid backend and a both reactive and, if possible, proactive approach to care. And now if we look at the market in value, there are limited growth perspectives in terms of revenues, both because of the limited growth that we've explained in terms of volumes of subscribers due to the already very high penetration, but also because there is a very dynamic competition in both regions that has been driving prices down rather consistently in the last few years. We also see a lot of new entrants disrupting the market and also with very aggressive pricing strategies, specifically on fixed wireless in the US, but also a lot of new ISPs on fiber networks in Europe, and some other structural considerations like inflation and rising costs of living and utilities that are constraining the households' budgets in both regions. So telcos navigate in a highly competitive landscape with limited growth perspective in volume and value, as we've demonstrated, and thus differentiation cannot just be done on the provision of service, but also and rather on the quality of service and the quality of experience provided. So that's why telcos are looking for ways to optimize their service stack, and that goes through digitalization to reduce costs and improve margins, which means that telcos are limiting their retail presences, moving increasingly the sales funnel towards digital, but they also put an increasing number of services on digital platforms and on a self-serving basis. And this is driven by the rise of AI-powered features for applications like chatbots and self-services features, which have already been widely available on telco's digital care portfolio, but are now driven by new capabilities. We're seeing, for example, Gen AI features being integrated by Vodafone on their Toby app. We also see Magenta looking into expanding LLM capabilities for Ask Magenta. And we also see a lot of those initiatives in Asia Pacific, specifically across Korea, Japan, and China, where telcos are significantly driving the AI industry. For example, with ADOT that was launched by SK Telecom. So basically, AI will increasingly pave the future of digital care applications using natural language processing and machine learning for various use cases, from AI-powered chatbots to interactive voice responses. We also see it enriching online knowledge bases and being utilized for moving contact centers in the cloud. And AI is really providing an unprecedented opportunity to process a huge amount of data on the end users and their environments to improve personalization, improve also the service offering. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. The main questions that we want to answer during these sessions are: what are the key elements of a future-proof digital care solution? How telcos should get prepared to integrate AI features in their care strategies, and whether or not they should do that by themselves or trust experienced partners like Sweepr to go through that. So without further ado, I'm going to ask Alan to join me and to present Sweepr, the solution that we'll be talking about today. And what has been the genesis of it? Why did you found the company? What is the end goal there?
Thank you, Opti. And welcome everybody to the webinar. I founded the company on the basis that I felt the capability that we offered customers as an industry was poor, and it was frustrating. And so basically, as a frustrated consumer, I set about trying to fix my own problem. And I saw the emergence of our increasingly connected homes. I understood the economics of care because of my previous startup experience. And I realized that as our homes became more connected and thus more complicated, that the reliance on customer self-serving would become crucial to the economic success of the industry, because effectively, if the complexity drove increased calls, the economic model of having a customer call center centric care model wouldn't scale, and it would grind the industry to a halt in lots of ways. So I set about founding Sweepr, and over the last 3 or 4 years, we have evolved the offering to reflect a kind of what the service providers need in order to provide compelling digital care that provides great customer service to their customers, and also what we as customers need in terms of how we should be served and how we should be cared for digitally. And so today, Sweepr is an AI-powered digital care platform. It does two things essentially well. One is it creates highly personalized experience for end consumers. So when a customer comes with an issue into the Sweepr environment, we consider the person and their capabilities. We consider their situation and circumstance and diagnostic environment, and we consider the history of them to the provider and them to the issue. And with that contextual bundle, we can really fine tune the care experience we give, which means we can do things like, is this the second time this week you've had the same issue? We don't treat you like it's the first time we've heard this issue. If you're non-technical, we treat you differently from somebody who might be more technical. We can differentiate pathways based on the infrastructure you have, based on the diagnostic readings, a myriad of different things, all allowing us to continually refine the care journey and experience so that you are treated better and you feel, as a customer, you feel satisfied and you have your issue resolved as quickly as possible. The second thing we do well is we help telcos offer those care experiences across every digital touch point. And we do so, one of the observations I had when I began to understand the ecosystem a bit better was that each digital channel had its own stack of software, its own capability, sometimes its own internal IT team, and which meant a lot of repetition when encoding like business rules or content or care journeys. So Sweepr offers a no-code platform where you author your journeys, your business rules, your metadata, and define your content once, and then you can publish that into all of the consuming channels. So we can support mobile and web and IVR and conversational AI interfaces. And so in total, we will do assisted and unassisted flows, we'll do authenticated and unauthenticated flows, and we'll do reactive and proactive flows. And you'll do it all from one place. It's all no code, which means you're enabling your business to take ownership for altering these journeys as opposed to depending on scarce internal IT resource. So that's sort of in a nutshell what Sweepr does. The overarching strategy is to tap into the trend we're seeing, which is organizations moving towards a position where all issues are triaged digitally, as many as possible. As many as possible are contained, as in they never need human intervention. And then say 20% or so that do need human intervention are dealt with by a high functioning care team who are very proficient and very professional. And sort of Sweepr is providing the infrastructure to hopefully bring that vision to fruition.
Yeah, so it brings me actually to one key question to also set up the context of this discussion. So you just mentioned that organizations are evolving towards a digital infrastructure, moving a lot of services there, and trying to contain also the interactions into this space. I want to ask maybe Monica for starting. What is A1 doing in that regard? Like, how was the journey towards digital platforms set up, and how is care also integrated in this strategy?
So the journey towards digital first has started long ago in A1 Croatia and overall in A1 group. However, it has kind of skyrocketed in the last few years. Basically, primarily due to the fact that the customers were expecting this, and it also the reasons behind were some of the ones that you have mentioned in your introduction. So how we did it, we first had to prepare the organization for it. It's easy to say like, oh yes, we will be digital first. But to actually become a digital first company, you need to make some changes within the organization. So what we started in back in 2019 is we've built 7 agile teams. We've put them in marketing, and they were responsible for different product or actually customer segments. And the aim was there to, through the 2-week sprints, to produce or actually develop everything in a digital first manner. So what does this mean? It means that everything that we develop has to be available on your mobile phone or actually in digital channels. We realized even before that if we would like to improve customer experience, and then if we would like to improve all the products to make customer experience much better, it would be almost impossible. But what we could do is to actually everything new that we develop to make it great. So I think the agile methodology is really great when it comes to customer experiences. And then, but the fact that most of the services that we have developed are available in My One app. It's our self-care app. We have started moving significantly customers towards digital channels. So customers can activate, deactivate, manage all their services there. And by developing in the way that we were developing, we lowered down the number of interactions that the customers had to have with the customer care. But also we made it available for customers to do everything they still need to do within the My One app. And the vision that we had behind the My One app is to create a hub, a digital hub for customers to basically do everything they need to do with the A1 within the app itself. And today we have 40% of customers using My One app. We still have a significant share of prepaid customers, not only postpaid, and for both fixed and mobile services. And what we are currently focused on is to actually add additional functionalities that are missing there, but also to engage with customers more there, because the first KPI was just get the customers there, but now the most important KPI is the engagement itself.
Okay, thank you very much. Hayan, can you tell us a little bit about Telus' journey towards a digital first strategy?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. One way that Telus approached this is taking one of our brands, our Kudo brands, and actually making it like a digital first, almost digital only brand. So similar to Monica's experience with A1, having customers on board and have access to all those required interactions and transactions through that app, and really giving them that great experience right through to support. So really making it simple, quick, easy for customers to get that support, and really using our experience with that Kudo brand, where we have very, very, very high digital adoption, and applying those learnings to our larger Telus brand, where we have most of our internet customers and our TV and our smart home customers. And we've got customers who have a much lengthier experience, where they've become accustomed to needing to call Telus for support, and really working to build their trust that we have, and we're building and rapidly deploying digital solutions that can provide them with premium customer care. And that's really been our focus over the last 3 to 4 years. We've made strong progress using technical support care as an example. So really those frustrating issues where someone's internet that they're using for work might not be working as they expect. We're up to a point now where 60% of the support interactions for internet, TV, smart home are actually digitally contained. And then, similar to what Alan mentioned in his intro for Sweepr, we want every interaction for care to start that way. And that's something we think we can do with every successful interaction that we give customers when they need support.
So I guess also because, so you mentioned the digital approach to grant easier support, to also expand the self-serving features. You're working with Alan on integrating AI capabilities into that. What is the expectation that you have AI could bring to these tools? Like, do you look for better personalization, for easier interactions with the tools?
Personalization is definitely key. We know when our customers have reached out to our call centers, they rate the level of support very high, and so we've looked at, well, why do they rate it so well? And part of it is that context. You know, our agents work very hard when they're on the phone with someone to see that history that they've had with a customer, to go back and be able to say, you know, I see you had this issue, or you reached out for that. But replicating that in a digital care experience has been more challenging. So it ends up being having been more transactional. So what we've been looking for and what we're excited about with Sweepr is the ability to weave in that context and not perfectly replicate what an agent would do, but actually, you know, kind of create a version of it tailored to what a customer needs. So acknowledging what they've been through, not needing to ask them questions where we can leverage Sweepr's tie-ins to our diagnostic tools. So hearing from the customer, facing this challenge, but then being able to advance the dialogue using some of those diagnostic and AI interaction capabilities to get to a resolution faster. So the personalization is key, while also acknowledging that our customers are going to have very different levels of comfort with digital care. Everyone's you know, been used to speaking to a call center agent. That's their level of comfort. Some people, quick digital adopters, but others we know we're going to need to put in place an interaction with them that is paced more slowly, has more details, has more screenshots of what we're asking them to do. And so our ability with Sweepr to follow those different, I guess, customizations or personalizations is what's going to make that customer choose digital care next time. And that's a differentiating capability for us.
Thank you. I want to ask Alan now. So we see from what Monica and Ryan told us that advancing care capabilities into digital and with AI is also extremely complex because the backend is really based on a variety of use cases. There's a very complex chain of elements that gets fed into the care field for telcos specifically. How do you think telcos are getting ready to integrate AI tools? And do you think also that their capabilities are being integrated fast enough on generative AI specifically?
Yeah, it's really interesting topic. I think when I first started Sweepr, there was a lot of housekeeping that needed to be done in terms of data management and cleaning data and understanding, you know, the enterprise even understanding its own challenges so that it could help its human agents address problems. I think we've come through a cycle where many of the organizations in the industry have now got a good handle on centralizing data, normalizing it, having a, you know, being able to analyze and get better insights. The introduction of AI and in specifically most recently generative AI offers some really interesting opportunities. Now, what I've seen so far is a lot of applications of Gen AI that seek to increase productivity and improve the existing operating model. So basically making agents more proficient and doing things a bit better and summarizing notes and summarizing journals. The opportunity for AI actually is changing the operating model, right? So where you're not trying to improve the existing one, you're trying to rethink how I would do this, with AI now a fundamental part of my journey. So AI is a broad church. Gen AI is certainly what's happening at the moment with large language models. That to an extent is all about content generation and answering questions. A lot of questions that are required to be answered in care are declarative, known answers to known questions, which means it's important that that isn't forgotten. You don't need to kind of roll the dice to generate an answer if you know what the answer is, as long as you can understand what the intent is. Where AI also comes into its own is in shortening the gap between the utterance, what the customer has said, and the resolution, because we understand, the context, what's been said, and then therefore we know proportionally it's much more likely to be this resolution over here. So I think AI will create those pathways much more efficiency, and the challenge with care is that it has to be low latency. You have someone engaged, they have a problem. You can't start kind of reaching into the enterprise and crunching numbers and taking a minute or 2 minutes or 3 minutes. All has to happen really quickly to help the customer in the moment of need. Otherwise, they'll give up and call the call center. So there are a lot of challenges. AI can help, with those challenges. It can both shorten those pathways for deciding on what the problem is. It can generate answers and generate plans of attack. It can also be used to tweak and be nuanced in your communication so that you are brand compliant, but also cognizant of the customer's capability set. So for example, if you bring a good agent will listen to the way you ask the question, and they'll make decisions, probably subconsciously, about your capabilities. They'll then adjust their pace, use different vocabulary, etc. So Gen AI can give us that capability in a digital arena where we are being nuanced and being much more effective communicators based on the individual we're trying to help. So there's lots of opportunities, I think, and fundamentally changing the operating model is the more exciting piece than productivity improvement on existing operating models.
So yeah, indeed, a lot of opportunities, but there's a lot to be done beforehand. So what are the basically the necessary steps for the data management that you mentioned at the beginning, and data cleaning that's required still, I guess, in some organization? Monica, can you tell us a little bit about how agents are collecting and structuring data on the customer service side, and what are the challenges that you're facing before thinking of implementing AI features?
So today, during the calls, agents are having the predefined fields that they need to. There's a drop-down menu, so for the reason for the call and what they have done to actually resolve the customer challenge or the issue that the customers have. And here we have the first challenges that because of some KPIs that the agents have to follow, then they are choosing the first item on the drop down menu. And then when you're someone from marketing and you're trying to get some insights from whatever the customers are saying, or the experiences that they have, you're getting the wrong insights. And the other way of how we're trying to find out what the customers, what are the experiences that the customers have, or the challenges that they have, or what would they like to improve with their interaction with the A1, is to have proactive calls towards the customers. It's done on a sample. Usually we do it primarily to measure internally NPS. We measure it internally and externally, and also to measure something that we call customer effort score. This is for the new customers. Here you get a sample, so obviously you're not getting everything that you would like, especially for some specific issues that we have with the customers. And here it would be great to to use some advanced tools and Gen AI for either to listen to calls and then structure the data and create some insights for us to improve our products and services or the interactions or the processes, or to actually structure because the agents also need to fill in the notes in order to resolve the case, but it's also unstructured data. So it would be great, again, to be able to structure this and then provide the insights for different teams within the organization who can actually improve the customer experience.
Yeah, so multiple utilizations for AI, and including really at the start, making sure the data is clean. We can already use Gen AI solutions for that.
Yeah, but luckily, if I may add, luckily, this is not, I mean, this is what the agents are collecting. And of course, this gives you a lot more insights than anything else that we have. But still, we as a telco, we're sitting on a lot of data anyway, because the customers are leaving their prints everywhere. So we're trying to use that as well and do a lot of research, but this would benefit us significantly if we would be able to read this data better.
Yeah, indeed, there is also a lot that telcos can already leverage on the context and the environment of the customers, because you already have so much data on it. Ryan, how was it structured for agents to collect information during interactions with the customer service? And how did that evolve also with the implementation of Sweepr's solution?
Yeah, very, pardon me, similar to Monica's experience. We ask a ton of our agents on customer interactions. We're asking them to hear how the customer is describing the problem, to categorize it, to determine that root cause, actually then document the resolution, and anything else that they feel is important. And then probably the hardest part, what diagnostics is an agent using in those interactions to actually determine that root cause with the customer. And so sometimes we get all of that bundled up, but it's not easy to consume at all. But it's really valuable when we're looking at kind of tackling those systemic problems two ways. We need to understand those things to actually eliminate the root cause. Maybe there's changes to our product or things like that, and it's a prerequisite to understand it and be able to interpret it. But then the other aspect, if we're going to create that great digital solution, in our case, and we've been taking those agent interactions and moving them to Sweepr, we need to really deeply understand that root cause and how the diagnostics help us identify that. So that's been, kind of how our agents have approached it. What we've seen needing with digital care tools like Sweepr. And then the second part of your question, well, what's changed? It's probably a couple things. So if it's a contained digital care interaction for a customer, being able to see through reporting from the platform very clearly how often a certain resolution solves the type of problem a customer was experiencing is very easy to get to now, and doesn't require going in and listening to a lot of interactions or even reading them one by one. We have it there in an aggregate form. The ability to drill down to it is there, but what we're finding is we don't need to do that because we're able to see the most common paths. And that really helps us identify what do we need to tune, what do we need to improve to take our containment up in an iterative manner. So that part has been a real important change for us, and a way to unlock something that was just not practical to do and not possible to do in a manual way. So collecting that's important, but also understanding the diagnostics. And Alan, I think you referenced it very early. if we can avoid asking a customer something to which we know the answer, so our diagnostics being able to say which device a customer is experiencing a problem and simply be using that to direct them in a step, and being able to see that. Then we can start to look at that data and understand, all right, it's these types of devices in a customer's home that are most prone to experience these problems. And whether it's someone's smartphone or their laptop or things like that, the diagnostics and being able to understand the role they played in getting a customer to a rapid resolution is something we see improving, or not just improving, sorry, something that's now only possible with a tool like Sweepr.
Alain, do you want to comment on that, on this journey towards assisting the agents through AI?
Yeah, well, I mean, it would be naive to expect that you roll digital out and then magically everything just transitions. So there is this hybrid mode where you have to either purposefully go to a particular customer with a particular type of problem. Like, say, for example, you've got a high value customer who's had this issue and it's persisting over 2 or 3 interactions. You might say, you know what, this customer needs to talk to somebody, so I'm going to route them straight to an agent. So you can be deliberate about, but when you route them to an agent, you want to make sure that agent deals with the issue contextually and hopefully sequentially, so that they have all of the data that's been gathered, what the customer has said, what's happened, what steps they've taken, what diagnostics we know, so then the agent can, in the moment, continue the call. Or, arguably better, you can say to the customer, you know what, we're going to have someone call you as soon as we have this figured out. And then you have a call from somebody that says, hey, I looked through all the problem, I see what's happening, and here's the resolution. So we had to make sure that as we built the platform that we didn't, they weren't zealots, that we didn't ignore the agents as being a really crucial and key part of the overall problem solving exercise. Our job is to try to resolve more and more of these things digitally without the need for an agent. But sometimes you'll always need an agent, and you need to make sure, therefore, you serve their needs and help them do their job as well as possible. And I think that's what we try to do.
Very complete.
Thank you.
Now, I just want to remind our attendees that we're live. So if you want to drop questions in the chat, feel free to, and we will try to answer them before the end of the conversation. So now I want to have a few questions on the concrete business impacts that are expected from digitalization and the optimization of digital care through AI. First, from a marketing perspective, what do you expect in terms of engagement, retention, satisfaction when it comes to digital transformation? Maybe Monica, if you want to start.
I believe at the beginning I mentioned that we have moved, or actually we started with this digital first strategy is primarily because of the customer expectations. So customers do expect everything now and to resolve their issues fast, or to make changes fast, because they need this flexibility. And we embedded this in our products, but we also created a self-care app that allows the customers to do this, and also, of course, products that make it easy for them to do this. So we definitely expect higher customer engagement and satisfaction, because if we are moving services there where the customers want them, and if we make it simple to use them and manage them, then of course customers will be more happy, and if they can resolve their challenges fast. For example, we implemented a service which is called Digital Technician. It is not an AI service, even though customers think that it is. But sometimes something goes wrong with your broadband connection at home, and then you go to My One app and you click it, and then the modem is restarted, and the customer is happy because it has resolved a customer issue. But it's simple examples like this which make customers more happy. Also, what we're expecting is an organizational impact, because what we would like to do is also to simplify the tasks for the agents. So it's not the main goal to kind of not have the agents, but to simplify the simple tasks, or actually to make it less, to make it effortless for them, so they can focus more on creating great experiences for the customers. Obviously, what we also expect is some cost savings, because still now I think, I don't know how it is in other telcos, but at least in A1, the agents are shifting to be more of a sales agents rather than the customer care agents. And with our strategy to move towards the omni-channel, then what we're doing is that by having less agents focused on the customer service, we have still some agents that are focused on the sales. Not saying at the moment that we're not doing the sales in digital, but still some interactions when it comes to sales are better with the live agents. So these would be like the three main things from the marketing perspective when it comes to a business case with moving towards the digital first.
Okay. Ryan, I guess you have things to say on all of that. So the marketing perspective, the business KPIs, the sales funnel, pick one and start from that. I will ask you about the rest after, I guess.
You bet. I'll start. I'll do the marketing aspect of it. So from our surveys that we do with our customers, we know that how they rate the reliability of our services is heavily weighted to their customer support experience. And in the past, that's been heavily focused on an agent interaction. But high quality customer care of any form is going to actually shift that number up. And when we do that right with Sweepr, and we do that right with a digital experience, and we're solving those problems quickly, we've actually seen really different behaviors from a customer. And it's not just on providing that digital care, but it's doing it in a proactive manner. So when we've been able to identify those customer issues, and then we've been able to digitally interact with them and help them resolve that problem, we actually see the churn rates, or the rate at which they leave Telus, it drops dramatically. So it's really proving out for us two things. It's one, that premium customer care, it is digital. It is that kind of immediately available piece. And there's also immense value in having your service provider identify those issues. And so really we want to move towards kind of a commitment where we're monitoring your service for any type of degradation, and then we're able to take those actions, and some of the time we might need your help doing it. And in turn, we see those improvements in churn, and we see people's perception of the reliability of our services and their satisfaction go up. So that's, tying it back to kind of our brand promise, really encouraging.
What is the containment and the engagement that you see, Alan, with the solution? Also, how does it improve the existing solutions that people were using before, based on the feedbacks you got from clients?
Yeah, we're seeing so when we launch use cases, it can typically be about 60% containment, but then once we learn through the flows, the analytics in the platform point out where the opportunities to improve are. And because it's no code, it's really simple to kind of tweak and improve any of the aspects of the journey, which means we can see continuous improvement. And we always talk about Sweepr being a kind of a journey, like it's not a kind of you implement it and then you're done. It's something that's going to live with you over a long period of time as you begin to improve, launch new use cases and continually improve. But we think high performing organizations or high performing care flows will hit around 80% plus. Some will be higher, some will be around 80%. But I think that's sort of we think that's a kind of a good high performing level, that if you're containing 80% of issues that come through, that's good. I mean, and it may well be, I'm not
Very
saying that we
decent.
couldn't do more, but 80% is pretty good.
It is, it is. Okay, and in terms of organizational change, so Monica already mentioned the idea that agents should be refocusing on simpler tasks, on things that are easier to contain only on digital, basically. What is the expectation on Telus side, Ryan, in terms of how the agents' work will be changed by the solution?
Yeah, definitely it's shifting our agents to those more complex inquiries. And it's equipping them with this visibility into a customer's kind of digital care interactions to really accelerate that, to make it an intuitive conversation. And then, you know, to Monica's point, open the door for our customers to use what we know about their experiences using our services to really move towards offering tailored solutions, making room in that conversation. I think that's something we can do both with agents in those interactions, and I think it's something we can keep making space for in our digital interactions, and something we've actually introduced in some of our Sweepr workflows once we've resolved a customer's issue and bringing those things in. So that's really important to us with our call center agents, and then to keep taking those learnings from the uncontained interactions with agents and use those to just rapidly tweak and modify and improve our workflows themselves. And what we found is we've got call center agents with all that experience who can come now and operate in this low code, no code environment and actually be a part of our squads implementing digital care. So that's been really advantageous for us as we move towards that type of a model.
Thank you. And finally, Monica also mentioned the sales interaction with agents increasingly asked to also perform sales tasks while they're interacting with customers. With the move toward digital, how do we plan on keeping this sales funnel active in the digital side, and maybe leveraging also the analytics that are being collected for care purposes towards marketing and commercial purposes? Maybe Alan, if you want to take on that.
Yeah, sure. So sales is a crucial element of the total care experience, like that whole transition from service to sales. And there is anxiety in the industry about, if I move everything into digital, do I start losing a key sales channel, right? So and I think it's going to be a hybrid mode. I think digital provides some key advantages over people, and then people provide some key advantages over digital. In particular, you can be consistently repetitious on an experiment on digital. So you can try different moments, different combinations of points of intersection, different content, different customer types, and figure out which ones work best. And then for conversion, you can look at whether, you know, what type of people you can convert entirely digitally versus what type of people you might want to escalate to a person to convert. And that data-driven approach to sales, I actually think could result in higher efficiency, and making sure that your agents are even more productive and getting, if you like, better leads to convert things, assisted by the digital capability.
Yeah, that's also a great opportunity for upselling, just based on the context and all the data that you can collect on existing customers.
Yeah.
We're reaching the end of our session already. I want to just have a quick roundtable round of the table to collect last thoughts on how the industry is going to evolve, and especially maybe giving a few insights on what are the innovations that you're most looking forward to implement in your care strategy. Ryan, you can start.
Yeah, I think the innovation that I'm really excited about is it does come back to personalization. So being able to give each customer a type of digital support experience where it's intuitive for them. So on their TV screen, if that's where they need support, in their app, if that's intuitive, to be able to give them that, give it to them in a personalized manner, and be able to solve that problem, kind of meeting the customer where they are. So, taking our ability to identify those problems, give a customer that in context easy solution. That's kind of that North Star that I see all of these capabilities, the data layer and the orchestration and a great platform like Sweepr really taking us there. So a customer, says, hey, I did have an issue with my service, but TELUS let me know about it. And TELUS was able to give me this really easy way to resolve it. I didn't have to wait on the phone or kind of experience any of that friction and things to that effect. So it's the pieces that are getting us there, and the fact that we're no longer stuck in a design it to perfection and build it to perfection and hope it keeps working, but knowing that we can very easily with these kind of emerging tool sets go and keep it current to meet and exceed our customers' expectations.
So yeah, personalization, but also a lot more flexibility in the way that the solution is built overall. Monica, what does the future of care look for you and look like for you?
Well, to summarize, maybe to actually use the insights that we gain from the digital care or the agents or from the platforms like my one to implement proactive care strategies to predict and address customer needs before they escalate into some big issues, and thereby improving the customer experience. This is how I see it.
So yeah, proactive care is also a big topic. I guess, Ellen, you're looking into it. I guess you're looking into many other innovations. Any insights on what you're most interested about?
I think I'd echo what Ryan said. Like, I think I think of Sweepr as kind of the necessary infrastructure to enable really compelling AI interactions. So where you basically have an AI care agent for each individual, where you spin up an agent that ultimately knows the context of this person in this home and can help them with kind of individuality. I think what's really interesting, though, for the industry is if when we crack the care model properly and have really good care that is in the majority provided digitally, it creates economic opportunities for organizations like TELUS to then expand their reach beyond their own network and services into third-party products and services. And I know they're already doing that with their smart home initiative and offering, and we're partnering with TELUS around that. But fundamentally, telcos deserve to inherit the kind of the household to be the digital agent, the digital concierge for the homeowner. To date, it has been very hard to do that because what comes with that role is the responsibility for care for products and services that you don't actually own yourself. And that is only possible in a world where you can understand those issues digitally and use generative content to generate answers quickly, and you can keep the economic burden of care down to at a certain level, which means the overall economic business case for creating compelling orchestration, compelling control for homeowners and their connected home makes sense. And I think that's happening now. I think we'll see more and more telcos step into that position and it'll be a brand new business line for them. It'll be very exciting.
Yeah, we see also a lot of telcos diversifying towards smart homes, towards fintech services, etc. So
Yeah.
it's really good to see that you can go towards those adjacent services, increase your portfolio, and still have a very solid care strategy across the whole portfolio. Yeah.
Every aspect of our life is dependent on our network relationship, the IP into our home. Like the person who owns that, and telcos own that, has arguably the most strategic asset to build as many services as they want, if they can do it properly in a compelling way. But it's a real kind of dawn for telcos to expand their presence.
Yeah, but it's a very challenging journey also. So yeah, interesting
You
to
need
have experts.
highly talented partners to work with you to make that happen.
Exactly. So we're gonna cut on that final word. Thank you all three of you for joining and for participating to the panel, and thanks to all our attendees. The session has been recorded, so we'll be in touch to send you the video per email if you want to share it with your colleagues or discuss further. And you can obviously reach out to our dear panelists if you want to have more information. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks.